morning, everyone. I am Carl Eric M. Nagsuban of Group 3, and I will be the first one to discuss the factors affecting global tourism, which will cover the inner layer or the internal factors that affect the such, including the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic towards the general global tourism. Tourism is one of the world's largest industries, and it has a significant impact on the global economy. So the reason to that is due to its significant economic impact, diversity, global reach, and growth potential in the promotion of cultural exchange. Another reason is that it also accounts for 10% of the global gross domestic product or GDP and 1 in 10% of jobs worldwide. And it also encompasses a wide range of activities, attracts visitors from all over the world, and fosters understanding and appreciation of diverse cultures and traditions. However, various factors affect global tourism, including political, economic, technological, and health-related factors. So later on, as we go along with our discussion, my group mates will individually discuss and elaborate on these factors and how it affects the global tourism per se. So the inner layer refers to the internal factors that affect global tourism, including political, economic, and technological factors. So for political factors, political instability, terrorism, and natural disasters can have a significant impacts on tourism. So for example, political unrest in a country can lead to a decrease in the number of tourists visiting the region. So one particular period or example of political unrest kay katong sa EDSA People Power Revolution. It was days and series of non-violent protests and demonstrations by the Filipino masses from all walks of life, which eventually overthrown the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr. I just would also like to emphasize this. I really have observed this in today's society nga people would often misconstrue activism as an act of terrorism. Kanang kasagaran sa mga tao gani kay against kayo sila anang mga magprotesta o magmarcha sa mga kadalanan. So kanang ignorance of the law and the constitution that protects constituents is really alarming, and that is something that we must have to stop. Kanang pagmarcha magalo pagprotesta sa kadalanan is an exercise of democracy. It's a kanang manifestation of a democratic country. So dili man na pagpanghilabot sa gobyerno or pagpagdaot nila, kay lahi man ang pagpanghilabot sa pagpanginlabot, di ba? So let us avoid red tagging these people, no? Well, anyway, let's continue. So natural disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, or volcanic eruptions can also have a devastating impacts on tourism, leading to closure of hotels, attractions, and transportation. So one example in particular kay katong nahitabo again is sa Siargao katong pagbagyong Odette. So ni-stop jud ang tourism ato na tungod sa inaccessible ang mga roads, din kulang sa mga transport boats nga maka-transport sa mga tourists. So understanding the inner layer that affects global tourism, including political factors, is crucial because these factors can significantly impact tourism industry, which is an essential component of many economies worldwide. So political factors such as government policies, regulations, and stability can affect the tourism industry both positively and negatively. So for instance, political stability and a supportive regulatory environment can help attract more tourists. So naman, it can encourage mga investment in the tourism industry and create more jobs, leading to economic growth. On the other hand, political instability, conflicts, or policies that restrict travel can discourage tourists, leading to decreased revenue and job losses. So additionally, political factors can also affect the safety and security of tourists, which is a critical consideration for many travelers when choosing their destinations. So safety and security concerns may arise due to political instability, terrorism, crime, or health-related issues. For example, sa pandemic. So during the pandemic, stop jud ang global tourism ato no kay due to travel restrictions in order to contain the virus. So that's one of the main reasons nga nung important gyud nga masabtan jud nato ang kining political factors. So that's it for my report, and I hope that you have learned something from my discussion. Thank you.
So hello everyone, I'm about to discuss the economic factors affecting global tourism. But before that, I just want to ask first an apology if ever there is something with my voice because I'm not really feeling well right now. I have a cough, a cold, and a fever. So, well, let's back to the topic. So economic factors such as exchange rates, inflation, taxation, and disposable income can also have an impact on the global tourism. So let us start first with the exchange or changes in exchange rates. This can affect the affordability of travel for tourists, making it more, less, or expensive. um, Exchange rate movements can affect actual inflation as well as the expectations about future price movements. So changes in the exchange rate tend to directly affect the domestic prices of imported goods and services. So unsa man siyang mga effects sa exchange rate on global economy? In the goods market, a positive shock to the exchange rate of the same domestic currency or an expected appreciation will make exports more expensive and imports less expensive. So as a result, the competition from foreign markets will decrease the demand for domestic products, so decreasing domestic output and price. The first economic factors, which is the exchange rate, and now let's talk about the inflation. So, inflation can also affect the cost of goods and services in a particular region, which can influence tourism. So, in an inflationary environment, unevenly rising prices inevitably reduce the purchasing of power of some consumers. So, in this erosion of real income, is the single biggest cause of inflation. So inflation can also distort purchasing power over time for recipients and payers of fixed interest rates. So what is the cause of inflation under effect to the economy? So more jobs and higher wages increase household incomes and lead to a rise in consumer spending, further increasing aggregate demand and the scope for firms to increase the prices of their goods and services. So when this happens across a large number of businesses and sectors, this leads to an increase in inflation. So does inflation have a positive or negative effect on the economy? Low, stable, and predictable inflation is good for the economy and for your finances. So it helps money keeps its value and makes it easier for everyone to plan how, where, and when they spend it. So for example, companies are more likely to grow their business when they know what their cost will be in the 7 years ahead. And right now, this time after pandemic, everyone in the world was greatly affected by the inflation. So that's why ang mga prices ato mga products rises. So more dili siya motupong sa ato ang mga sweldo, and not only the Philippines are affected but everyone in the world. So similar to inflation, let's talk about the other economic factors that affect the global tourism, which is the taxation. So taxation policies can have an impact on the prices of goods and services, leading to changes in tourism patterns. So how do taxes affect the economy in the long run? So primarily through the supply side, high marginal tax rates can discourage work, savings, investment, and innovation. So while specific tax preferences can affect the allocation of economic resources, but tax cuts can also slow run economic growth by increasing deficits. So what impact does globalization have on taxation? So by diminishing the importance of national borders, globalization has created new multinational tax jurisdictional gray areas that make it easier for taxpayers to avoid or evade taxes. So unsa man ang mga importance of taxation in our economy? So taxes are the most important source of communal revenue. So we all know that. The obligation of taxes lead to alteration of resources from tax to the non-tax sector. So the revenue services is shared or allocated on different production sectors in the country with the aim of increasing the overall economic growth of the country. So kung walay tax sa mga tao, maglisod og lihok ang government. So dapat mo pay sa itong mga taxes para sa dubalik ko na dato diri sa as services sa mga people. So that is taxation as one of the economic factors affecting the global tourism. And the last one, or finally, the disposable income, which refers to the amount of money that individuals have after paying for essential needs, can affect the level of tourism in particular region. So, how does this disposable income affect the economy? So, in an aggregate, when disposable income increases, households have many more money to either save or to spend. So, which naturally leads to growth in consumption. So, consumer spending is one of the most important determinants of demand, and it creates the demand that keeps companies profitable and hiring new workers. So, unsa man siya ang mga significance of disposable income, or why is disposable income important in our economy? So it helps economists to measure the savings of the spending rates of the households. Disposable income is used to derive several economic indicators and measures such as discretionary income and personal savings rate. So that are the economic factors that affect the global tourism. We have the exchange rate, the inflation, the taxation, and the disposable income.
So, hi everyone, I am Joanna Marie Pinagalo from BST in 3, and my assigned topic is all about technological factors. Technological advancement have revolutionized the tourism industry, and advancements in the transportation, such as airplanes and high-speed trains, have made it easier and faster for people to travel worldwide. Similarly, the internet and mobile devices have made it easier for tourists to book their travel and accommodations, access travel informations, and share their experiences with others. Finally, the use of social media platforms has also contributed to the growth of the tourism industry. So, as tourists share their experiences and inspire others to travel, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on the global tourism industry, disrupting travel patterns and leading to a significant decline in international travel. Here are some of the ways in which the pandemic has affected to global tourism.
So thank you so much, Ms. Joanna Marie Delo. So the COVID-19 pandemic has a profound impact on the global tourism industry, disrupting travel patterns and leading to a significant decline in international travel. Here are some of the ways in which pandemic has affected global tourism. So first here is the travel restrictions. So governments around the world have implemented travel restrictions to contain the spread of the virus. So these restrictions include border closures, mandatory quarantine measures, and travel bans. So as a result, many people have had cancelled travel plans, leading to significant decline in international travels. So most of us experiencing such things na travel restrictions, right? Like most of us wanted to school in the city, but because of the pandemic, so we're staying here in the island and we're taking an online class. So next is the fear and uncertainty. The pandemic has created fear and uncertainty among travelers, making them hesitant to travel. So the fear of contracting the virus while traveling the uncertainty of travel restrictions, and the fear of being stuck in a foreign country due to a sudden border closures have discouraged many people from traveling. So, mga to, ang mga travelers, mga graham school sa ibang lugar or sa foreign countries, na-stuck sila o bakit sila na-stuck because their fear, okay, was sila sure if kanang nga country is kanang still on implementing travel restrictions, so mana siya ang cause and effects pandemic.
Other impact in global tourism is the economic recession. The pandemic has led to an economic recession in many parts of the world, leading to a decrease in disposable income and reduced tourism spending. Many people have lost their jobs and others have had to outback on their expenses, including travel. The COVID-19 pandemic and resulting economic fallout caused significant hardships, and the most affected is the tourism industry man kay many hotels and tourist attractions has to close down and many tourists canceled their flights. Next is the shift to domestic tourism. Due to travel restrictions and fear of international travel, there has been a shift in tourism preferences towards domestic travel. People are now choosing to travel within their countries, leading to an increase in domestic travel and a decrease in international tourism. So without a doubt, the tourism industry is among the sectors that have been greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the closing of borders, airports, and hotels, as well as restrictions on mass gatherings. So as we all know, manay mga countries nga mas kusog ang COVID or mas dugay nawa ang COVID sa ilaha, so many tourists cancel their flights kay kanang mahadlok na sila ging ato. For example, sa China, which is dito nagunod ang COVID, so mas mahadlok sila ato, so mas gipili nila nga mo travel within the country or here na lang sa Philippines.
The closure of tourism-related businesses. The pandemic has led to the closure of many tourism-related businesses, including hotels, restaurants, and tourist attractions. The closure of these businesses has had a severe impact on the tourism industry, leading to job losses and reduced tourism revenues. Tourism generates huge revenue for destinations and contributes to overall economic development for a plethora of countries, especially tourism-dependent nations. In other words, there is a strong link between tourism development and economic growth, which also stimulates the development of other related businesses in a country. However, tourism is a vulnerable industry which may crash due to potential risks such as a global pandemics. The COVID-19 pandemic has inflicted serious and widespread impacts on a wide range of economic sectors, particularly the tourism industry. Tourism is one of the sectors most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, impacting economies, livelihoods, public services, and opportunities on all continents. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the tourism industry due to the resulting travel restrictions as well as slump in demand among travelers. And this leads to closure of tourism-related businesses kay lagi lisod naman og biyahe-biyahe, wala na kaayo guests or customers, mao na ang uban hotels, restaurants, or any tourism-related businesses nag-close na lang jud sila because of the pandemic.
To deal with the factors that affect global tourism and minimize their impact on the industry, the following strategies can be implemented. First, political factors. So governments can work towards promoting political stability and security in their own countries to attract tourists. Governments can also develop crisis management plans to deal with natural disaster and to other emergencies that may affect the tourism industry. Tourism industry stakeholders can work together to promote responsible tourism practices, including supporting local communities and protecting the environment. So, ang gobyerno may mulihok aron mopauswag ang kalig-on sa politika ug seguridad sa ilang mga nasod aron madani ang mga turista. Ang gobyerno mahimo usab nga maghimo sa mga plano ug sa pagdumala sa krisis aron maatubang ang mga natural nga katalagman ug uban pang mga emergencies nga mahimong makaapekto sa industriya sa turismo. Tourism industry stakeholders can work together aron mapalambo ang responsibilidad nga mga gipangbuhat sa turismo. Lakip ang mga suporta sa mga lokal nga komunidad o pagpanalipod sa kinaiyahan.
The strategy can be implemented in terms of economic factors that governments can implement policies that promote economic stability, such as reducing inflation and taxes that impact the tourism industry. The tourism industry can diversify its revenue streams, such as promoting niche tourism segments and developing tourism products and services that cater to specific market segments. The industry can also work towards reducing its environmental impact and promoting sustainable tourism practices, which can attract environmentally conscious travelers. So one of the things that we can do to deal with the factors that affect global tourism in terms of economic is the government. So government can promote economic stability and implement policies. We all know naman that tourism is an important economic sector for many countries around the world. So governments are developing active and innovative policies to promote sustainable and inclusive tourism growth. So another is promoting sustainable practices. So since tourism is concerned with making tourism industry itself more sustainable, so it has a bright future and can continue to provide jobs. It can attract tourists who's environmentally conscious as well. Thank you.
Okay, so the next topic is the technological factors. The tourism industry can leverage technology to provide more personalized and convenient travel experiences for tourists. Industry stakeholders can work together to develop and implement standardized technological solutions that improve the efficiency and sustainability of the tourism industry. Governments and industry stakeholders can collaborate to develop policies and regulations that promote innovation and responsible use of technology in the tourism industry. So for example is the online travel booking. The rise of online booking platforms such as Expedia and Booking.com has revolutionized the way people plan and book their travel. Travelers can now research and book flights, hotels, and activities online, often at a lower cost and with more flexibility. Other example is the smart tourism destinations. The concept of smart tourism destinations involves using technology to create more sustainable and efficient tourism experiences. This can include using data and analytics to manage visitors' flows, incorporating renewable energy sources, and implementing smart transportation system. So overall, technological advancements have greatly impacted the global tourism industry, providing travelers with more options, flexibility, and convenience while also presenting new challenges and opportunities for business and destinations.
Pandemic COVID-19. Government and industry stakeholders can work together to implement measures that ensure the safety of tourists, such as developing health and safety protocols, providing training for tourism employees, and implementing contact tracing measures. The industry can promote domestic tourism to make the industry. Governments and industry stakeholders can also collaborate to provide financial supports to business in the tourism industry that have been impacted by the pandemic. So, the government can take several measures to address the impacts of COVID-19 and minimize its effects of global tourism. Here are some examples of measures that have been implemented in the Philippines. So let's start with number one. Um, Develop and implement health protocols. The government can work with industry stakeholders to develop to develop and implement health protocols to ensure the safety of tourists and locals. In the Philippines, the Department of Tourism has issued guidelines for hotels, resorts, and other tourism establishments to ensure compliance with uh, health and safety protocols. And number two is provide financial assistance to affected business. The government can provide financial assistance to business that have been affected by the pandemic. So, in the Philippines, the Department of Tourism has launched several programs to provide financial assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises in the tourism sectors. Number three is promote domestic tourism. So, the government can promote domestic tourism to help offset the loss of international tourists. In the Philippines, the Department of Tourism has launched also a campaign called Wake Up in the Philippines. Wake Up in the Philippines. This is to encourage Filipinos to travel within the country. Number four is facilitate travel bubbles. So the government can work with other countries to facilitate travel bubbles or corridors that would allow for safe travel between countries with low COVID-19 cases. So in the Philippines, the government has been talked with other countries to establish travel corridors. And number five is the vaccination campaign. The government can prioritize the vaccination of people working in the tourism sector to provide confidence to the tourists and to help ensure their safety. In the Philippines, the government has included tourism workers in its vaccination priority list. So, overall, the government's responses to the COVID-19 will be crucial in minimizing its effects on the tourism industry by implementing health protocols, providing financial assistance, promoting domestic tourism, facilitating travel bubbles, and prioritizing vaccination campaigns. The government can help ensure that the tourist industry can recover from the pandemic.
That's all. Thank you.